I'm in love with you. Now that I said it out loud, it does sound weird. Let's do this.
How's your quarantine going?
Hi, this is Aurora Folks in the Nocturnal. So thank you all for sitting down with us today at the Nocturnal virtually.
Of course.
Of course.
Thank you. I also want to start by saying happy belated birthday to you, Leslie.
Thank you.
Of course. So for this series, it really takes a whole new meaning on working from home, as it literally was shot within a home, in your home as well. Did you have any sort of reservation or a type of hesitations when producing this show with this kind of level of intimacy?
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah, there was a hesitation, which is why we just wanted to make sure that the story felt like it was doing its best to stand on its tiptoes, to rise, to meet this moment, to meet the moment that is happening in our homes, that's happening in the streets, because we knew it was an experiment, that it was risky, that it might not work out. So what was going to make us try our best, what was going to make us be comfortable with taking that small risk, was the fact that we felt like this was a story that ought to be told right now.
I see. I agree. And it was a wonderful show. I got to see 2 episodes, which was really, really great. Just going back to you guys, I know you skipped the whole showmance phase after co-starring in Once on This Island, and then you kind of collaborated musically, which was really nice. In an interview, Nicolette, you actually even mentioned that working together musically was challenging for you a little bit because you had to come together creatively, but you have very different processes. So what was it like collaborating in this series? And also, how did you maintain your individuality in starring in it?
It was great. It was really great. It wasn't
right.
No, actually, no, we have been together, like you said, for 12 years. It's been 12 years. So it's we've had our processes of finding our way through, navigating how we like to communicate and how we like to work, and we've come a long way from when we were earlier in our relationship of ending in huge fights and tears and all that. We and I think it was really interesting. Les has been saying this, that what's so special about this moment, there's special things and there's awful things and all the things in one, but what was special for us in this moment was our ability to really dive deeper into our relationship and reconnect and really learn more about one another. And so we had just kind of hit a spot in our relationship where it was almost like a light switch went on in the way that we communicate. And then this offer came in to be a part of this show. And so we were really excited to utilize this newness that we had discovered with our relationship and try working together now with a new level of connection.
That's cool. It was really a really cool show. And actually, the series is so timely in covering life during quarantine, but it also touches on racial injustice and also police brutality, since that is the current state of what's going on right now. Leslie, I actually even heard a really powerful quote by you in an interview that you did. You said, don't be in the streets talking about Black Lives Matter if my Black life doesn't matter, and don't wait for the cops to kill me before my Black life matters. And if my Black life matters, make sure I take my money home to feed my children. And I was just like, that was so powerful to me. Can you talk to me about what it meant for you to include this message and theme in your series, and what was your message in that?
Yeah, that was one of the things that it was a collaborative experience with Joanna and with Freeform. And one of the things that I'm proudest of about something that Nicolette and I contributed to the show, to this beautiful show that they've created, was that piece, was like, we can't be a part of anything right now that doesn't address this, that does not address what's happening in the streets, because art is political. And because even when you're not talking about it, you're shying away from it, is a political statement. Mm-hmm. That is the line you're choosing. And so we needed it to be included, full stop, if we were going to be a part of it. And Freeform welcomed it, because that's who they are. They run to the front of the line to tell stories about contemporary American life. Yeah. But that's what it meant to me. You know, it was affecting our relationship. It was affecting our relationships with our families. It was affecting our relationships with our friends. It was what we were talking about, in addition to the COVID of it all. So we needed to include it in the show. We needed to make some art about it.
Yeah. So I just want to get in right into this. Like from the trailer, we can see both of your characters who play roommates, Oscar and Elle, are clearly besties. But between the TikToks and the dating advice, your friendship kind of begins to evolve. What are your thoughts on best friends exploring the idea of becoming more than friends?
I think it's always worth exploring, you know, especially if you're two single people and you're struggling to find love in other places. The reality is it very well might be right in front of you and you just didn't expect it. Even if it's someone of a different gender than you would typically be attracted to, sometimes just as a person, and like you have a soul connection that makes the other stuff not matter as much.
Yeah, and in any relationship, just being honest and open and vulnerable, without that, who knows what's gonna happen.
Totes my goats.
Very true, very true. And actually, Tommy, in a recent interview, I saw you mentioned that you love telling stories and creating characters that are vastly different from your own. How did you find yourself telling Oscar's story under the unique circumstances of surrounding the way that the series was actually shot and filmed?
I think this was not an example of me telling a playing a character that was vastly different from myself, you know, just given the circumstances that we're in. And I think, you know, Joanna wanting this to feel like really naturalistic and just like really in the moment. You know, Oscar and I are very different in a lot of ways and like how we would handle certain situations. I'm not a closed book. I'm like quite vulnerable and like open and not afraid of intimacy and all the things that Oscar's afraid of. I also don't work in fashion, thank God. But, you know, I think this was an opportunity for me to just like infuse my own like sense of humor and also process some of my own anxiety and you know, the collective trauma that we're all going through, living through this time right now, and trying to sort of like reevaluate what life means and what it means to live through a pandemic. Like as a millennial, we've never had the experience before, just on the health level, right? And those kinds of fears. So yeah, I mean, it was kind of like nice and cathartic and a great experience overall. And of course, like shooting in my home is very, very intimate, but I'm just glad that we got to work, yeah, and tell this story about like love and friendship and communication.
Me too.
Well, to you, actually, Rainey, being that this is your first recurring series role, can you talk to me a little bit about what your reaction was like to the script reflecting life in the global pandemic, well, shooting in the global pandemic?
Well, I think what's really great about the story is that it's really about connections and love and the relationships with the backdrop of being in pandemic. So it's not so much about quarantine and corona as it is about humanity.
Totally.
Definitely in the connection. I can totally see that through the series. Overall, what is something that to the both of you, something you're hoping for the viewers to kind of like take away from this definitely one of a kind, bold series?
I hope people are comforted and that this is a way to feel connected and to I don't know, like I think that there's a lot of beautiful things that can happen being stuck in quarantine and being able to reflect that, and like I think being so relatable to what everyone is experiencing in real time is really unique and special.
Totally. And I think there's some like lessons to be learned across the board and how to treat the people that you say you love the most.
Coming from such an extensive background that you do come from in film, TV, and on stage, talk to me about what made you gravitate towards this series and ultimately taking on the role of Nanda.
Okay, so easy answer, I was asked, and all an actor has to do is be invited, and we usually say yes, and I was able to give a very enthusiastic yes, 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 for a number of reasons. The main reason is it sounded like it was going to be a fantastic storytelling opportunity. And I knew also that the production values of a project like this were going to be very special and groundbreaking. So, I'm always, there for the ground break.
Lovely. And even given that with this new norm of production and needing to connect to a wide audience, but heavily relying on Zoom and, God willing, good Wi-Fi, how did you find yourself authentically tapping into Nanda using this new style of and format of shooting?
I think the way that an actor taps into any character is to find the truth and the reality and the authenticity of the character. And that was quite easy to do because, and I've said it before, we're actually doing hybrid storytelling in that I am Nanda. Nanda is me, because a lot of who Nanda is informed by the fact that we're in my house.
Right.
So Nanda is breathing the same air that Scotty is breathing. So we're one, we're merged into one character. And that's basically how acting goes anyway. I'm just, manifesting the character's choices via the writer.
I can really see that connection, especially to your character. Even through the trailer, we see your character facing difficulties and trying to work around the stay-at-home order. But she's also planning an anniversary with her husband, but while he's in a rehab center. So I feel this scenario isn't often talked about during this time, but why do you feel like it was important for it to be represented in this series?
In addition to Nanda, the character of Nanda representing a senior love story, the fact that that love story also has the elements of the other half of the love story being in a nursing facility is very timely, because the nursing facilities have been so impacted by this virus. The major number of deaths that have happened since the pandemic hit in the nursing facilities has just been staggering. And the separation of the families is just, it's so heartbreaking. And I saw an image of a woman visiting her mother in a nursing home, and she could only see her through the glass. And she had her hand at the glass, and that's the way she saw her mother transition and take her last breath. And it was just like, this is just too unbelievable. And the fact that love in the time of Corona gives us a little bit of that storytelling is so important on a national level, that we see some of what these families are going through, separated with their loved ones in that way.
So firstly, actually, I just wanted to say a big congratulations to Ava.
Thank you.
And you get to star alongside your parents, and you're starting doing it from inside your home, which is really cool. Talk to me about what went through your mind when you first got the script, when it came to you.
Well, we got the script like 2 weeks, 3 weeks after we'd been cast.
Something like that.
So first it was just like the initial excitement of like, oh my God, I'm finally gonna get to be working. This is very exciting. But getting the script was great. It was really exciting to get to see all of the stuff I was going to get to do with my parents. But B, I was just so excited to be able to work on a project that I felt like was as of the moment and loving as the show is. So I was just like, it was just lots of layers of very different kinds of excitement that still haven't really gone away, to be completely honest.
Well, I'm sure there's a lot of emotions, but it was great. And of course, to the proud parents, I know it must have been super special to act alongside your daughter, especially when in a time when connection is just so important. Can you describe to me what some of the emotions were during the process of even shooting this series during the stay-at-home order?
Well, in connections with Ava, or connections with the whole bigger picture, or just take it where my mind goes?
That's the big picture as a whole.
I think we're all really aware how incredibly lucky we were, that in this really complicated, crazy time, a job shows up in front of us, that we get to work together, we get to work at home. I mean, we feel so blessed about it. I think that was the biggest immediate response we had.
How about with you, Gail?
Well, absolutely everything that Ria said, I would totally agree with. And then on top of that, I think the fact that we were getting to explore a new way to shoot. We were one of the first projects to actually shoot during this time of COVID. And so to be able to kind of see what the practical realities and challenges are that come with that, and to overcome them with people creatively, that was very rewarding. And then, of course, on top of that, to work with Ava, to see her thrive, and to be both a fellow actor and a proud parent at the same time, that was really amazing. So very, very, very cool.
That's lovely. And speaking of that, on top of this series just being so relative and timely to what is happening in the world right now, I imagine shooting from your home offered a sense of familiarity. But how did you all find yourself kind of balancing between work and home life?
I mean, it's helpful. I don't live with my parents anymore. I moved out about a year ago, so that was helpful for me. Like
we kicked her out pretty much.
Yeah, okay. The room that in the show operates as Sophie's bedroom used to be my bedroom, and then was turned into the guest room. And then my mom and I went through the process of redecorating it to make it look like it could be the room again, which was great. It was just lots of pictures of Brad Pitt and whatnot. So that was helpful to have a fake bedroom. And Phil Rosenthal, to have a fake bedroom, and then to be able to drive for 10 minutes and be back in my actual home.
Okay.
There's something great about, it just felt small and indie in a wonderful way, where, I mean, it wasn't in this way, but it was like this is what we have. This is our home. I mean, I can move some stuff around, but pretty much this is it. And I have not seen it yet, but I think that my guess is what you will get visually is going to feel really multi-layered, because it is layered in everybody's families and everybody's lives, because it's the homes in which we all live. Right. And it brings a wonderful comfort. I mean, we got up in the morning and did the things we had to do before the crew showed up to us. Everybody just gathered in the driveway in the morning before we started.
And our animals were very happy. They were very happy. They were very happy.
Well, we have 2 dogs and a cat. One dog who's very communicative. He got sent away to a play date for a couple days.
But the other one, I think, might actually feature in the show.
Yeah. Oh, she definitely does.
That's exciting. That's very cool. Well, thank you guys so much for your time.
Thank you.
It's lovely to meet you, Aurora.